You are listening to the WW Phil podcast, your guide to feel good. Phil is an everyday guy who wanted to feel good. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Now let's join our host Phil for today's conversation about wellness and feeling good.
Hey family, what's going on? So excited for this episode. Tonight we have the lovely Miss Lisa Schaub with us. She is joining us live from New York City. So let's go now and talk to Lisa. Hey everybody, we're so excited to have our lovely guest tonight. Miss Lisa is with us. So say welcome to her and let's talk some WW. I'm so excited to have you on. It's great. I've followed your journey for a little while. I've been inspired by you for your WW stuff and the things that you do for us and all that stuff. So anyway, as I start all these pretty similar, I just want to know kind of how WW came into your personal journey and how you became an employee and all this stuff. So I'll just let you share for a little bit.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, and I've been listening to your podcast and been inspired by that and following you on social. So I'm just delighted to be here. Thank you for having me. So I struggled with my weight my entire life, starting in high school, probably, and I tried every diet under the sun, probably, but I did forever. But I didn't find my way to WW until I think the first time I joined, because I joined like 5 different times, but the first time I joined, I think it was in the 90s. And here's the thing, it wasn't a very good experience. I walked in, it was before we like knew how to give a good experience, right?
Yeah.
So I walked in, no one told me what to do. I got the materials. I sat in what was in a meeting, now a workshop, and then no one like said, well, stay and we'll go over anything. And I left very confused. And I had all the materials, and then I just kind of put them on the kitchen table, and I never looked at them again. And it wasn't until many, many years later, I moved to New York to be an actress. And one thing that I constantly heard I went to graduate school, I have an MFA in acting, was that I wasn't ever going to get work because I was heavy. So I actually went on like a rice diet in graduate school where all I ate was white rice from the Chinese food takeout place. That and frozen yogurt. That was my diet. I lost weight and felt really sick. And had no energy. And, everyone was applauding me. All my teachers were like, yay. But, it wasn't particularly healthy. And then I gained it back, of course, because who can sustain their lives on white rice and frozen yogurt? No. Right. So that's it. Those are the kind of things I would do. So when one of my iterations of joining WW, I walked in, and it was really purely motivated by like I wanted to get cast in things, and I knew that I had ability, but I was getting overlooked, which is the unfortunate fact about being in the entertainment field, is that looks matter in a way that they don't in real life, or they should, So I joined. This is after I got married and everything. Like I got married, I was not thin. I wasn't in good shape, but I found a guy who just thought I was nice and loved me anyway, and didn't care. Which actually, when you think about it, not that time I joined, which was purely because I wanted to get cast in things. I did lose weight. I got cast immediately. I went to every WW in every small town in America as I got cast in the show, and I got into the union and every church basement, everywhere across the country. I was going to WW meetings because the first 3 months I didn't, and I put on, I think I'd lost like 25 pounds or something, which wasn't my full amount that I lost, but it was an amount. And I gained half of it back in like 3 of my 6-month tour. And I said, oh, I got to go back to WW. So I went back. And as I was going to every little town in America, that's when it struck me how powerful WW was. It took a long time for me to really see
Yeah.
the true value. And the true value was, all of a sudden I had this aha moment, like, wow, here is a group of people all working on the same thing together. This is so inspiring. Everyone has the same stuff going on. In whatever state I was in, whatever city I was in, everyone had this common goal. And there was someone up there, a leader back then, now would be considered a coach, who was inspiring and engaging. And I thought, not only was I like, did I sort of get in the groove and I was like, this is awesome, but I also felt like, oh, this is something I could do, because I feel I have a lot of training. I could be up in front of people. I'm actually believing in this. I'm starting like, I'm like, oh, okay, this means something to me. So I lost the weight I gained, left WW again, never got to my goal, and then had 2 kids, and then that was the last time. That was when I realized, like, I could not keep up with my 2 little boys. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I feel terrible. I don't have energy. I can't engage with my family. This is a disaster. And that was the last time I walked through the door. And that was in like 2003. And then I sort of took a little break, but I never gained any of the weight back that I lost. And then I started again a little bit later, and I lost my weight. Eventually I lost about 48 pounds, when all said and done, in 2007. And then I started working for the company right after that.
Well, there you go. So that's 13 years now that you've been doing this thing.
Yeah.
That's great. So just a couple of things that you talked about there. It's very interesting, like the whole changeover in the mindset from almost manipulation of your diet to finding a sustainable diet. Like back in the day, as you were doing that, I mean, clearly now, knowing what you know and walking into a studio now, like there are so many more tools that make doing this right now so easy. So it's the best time ever to be a WW member. I promise you that. And I've only done it for 3 years, and I know that now is a whole lot easier than it was then. My WW is a godsend. But so just wondering, like, what are some of those things that you changed that moved it from like the whole manipulation diet of chicken and rice and moving into actually eating things you love? Like, where did that happen for you?
Well, I think once it became less of a panic about what I was doing for other people, and it became what I needed to do for me, that changed my mindset completely. Because when it was just for me, I wanted to take care of me, you know, and part of taking care of me is making sure I nourish myself and not feel deprived. So once I sort of switched my mindset over from, I'm doing this because I need to be a movie star, or I don't know, like everyone needs, I need to get the approval of other people, you know, once I like was married, had kids, it didn't really matter what anyone else thought. I just needed to do it for me. And once I did it for me, that changed everything for me, because I needed to take care of me. And in order for me to take care of anyone else, we hear that all the time, but that's really it. That's the mindset shift, right? From everything you do for everyone else to how do I serve myself? And by serving myself, that will trickle out and ripple out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's a liberating moment when we get to the point where we realize that the me that is full will always give a better version of me to everyone that I come in contact with. Even if I intend to fill them up fully, I can't do it from an empty me. So it's so liberating to get to that point to where self-time is not selfish.
No, it's really, really important. And when WW really started moving over to sort of like the positive mindset stuff was before we even had the mindset pillar. They would give us these videos on just the positive self-talk and all the sort of positive psychology that was just starting to emerge. And I was so taken by it. It spoke to me so deeply, all this stuff about like taking care of yourself and how do you shift your mindset and all that stuff, that I actually sought it out, and I got certified in positive, and now I'm a certified in applied positive psychology. It was like a 240-hour course, both in person and on Zoom, and because it was so, WW basically changed my life. It changed my life physically, but it mentally just changed how I perceived the world and how I interact with others. And it was all about sort of that mindset shift, which is, I think, is the most powerful piece. We never used to address it.
Yeah.
It was really the food and activity maybe, but we never addressed mindset. And mindset is where it's at. Like that's the ticket.
Absolutely, absolutely. I say a little colloquial phrase all the time that we have the measurables that WW gives us. The scale's better, the clothes fit smaller, and that kind of stuff. But the unmeasurables are when you have a situation that you walk into and you behave differently. You don't know that you're going to do that, but your response is different. Like that is an unmeasurable. You can't even see it coming, and that's the thing that saved my life in the aspect of like. I was going to the gas station and getting gas station food and overeating mindlessly so much that I couldn't even tell it. Like for long period of time, I wouldn't even remember the things that I was doing, like forgotten behaviors. And WW opened up my eyes that if I changed that behavior, just simply, I wouldn't feel like I was missing out. It was just something that needed to go away. It wasn't going to leave a gap in my day. I still had plenty of time to live and thrive on the food that I was normally eating. So I love that mindset stuff. It's really cool.
Very powerful. And it's really interesting to look back and think about old behavior patterns. Like when I go into, well, not that I'm going anywhere right now because of I'm in New York City and it's COVID-19 time, but even like it still strikes me sometimes, like when I go into a Starbucks, what I used to order at a Starbucks without thinking about it. Every time I went into any sort of coffee shop, and there's so many here in New York, I would always get a scone or a muffin and a donut without even thinking about it. And it was just part of what I did. It was part of my routine with my coffee, which was sweetened with like syrups and everything like that. And it didn't even occur to me. Now it would never occur to me to do that. Like just thinking about it is shocking to me. Oh my gosh, I used to do that every single time. And I probably went to a coffee shop almost every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny. I'll see if you can track with me on this and see what you think about it. But like when you think about ourselves and our position on the earth, our purpose in life, that's where we are. Wherever your feet are planted today, that's who you are. You have to be that person. You can't wish that you were in Paris or you can't wish that you were in Seattle. You're wherever you are. If you are in those places, then you are who you are today. But one of the things is like we have this potential of life that could carry our life up, and we have lows that we're going to go through, and maybe that path is just our slope across the earth as we go. But then you kind of look at the stars, there's this far-reaching thing, and it's like plans or goals or whatever. But I think a lot of that, the reaching, how we get there, is our perspective. And what I mean by that is like right now, I had this thought the other day, and to be honest, the reason I kind of worked through this mental thought was because I knew I was going to be on the Zoom screen on Saturday with Oprah, and I was like, my gosh, if whatever reason they say, Phil, talk, this is what I want to talk about, because I got to have something ready to go. You can't just be like going, oh well, okay. So anyway, I was like, this is the thing. 6 months ago, you could have been sitting at home, and you could have the thought, man, I would love to have some me time. These kids are driving me crazy. Work is driving me crazy. I would love to just be alone. Fast forward 6 months, you have an abundance of me time, all that you could ever ask for, and people are looking for connection. Like, I'm done with the me time. I want some people time.
Right.
And it's a change in perspective of like, you have to work on your mindset when you have what you have is in a surplus, and also when it is in a deficit. And sometimes the world can flip it around. Right now we have a surplus of me time, but how do we correct that? We correct it with how we perceive the day. Right. So that's a whole big thing. And that's the same thought process that we have to work through. I believe when you're sitting on the couch and you're like me, 396 pounds, the only thing I can do is change my perspective on how I move my body, how I eat my food, and how I think about myself. And as you do that, things start to line up.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that too is being present, because when you're present in the moment, when you're just with yourself, it's much easier to go from that space to what do I want to do? Like you can like dwell on the past and be like, oh, I wish I hadn't done this. I wish I hadn't done that. but you don't move forward from that.
Yeah.
And even from, I wish this would happen, or I wish this would happen, there's, that's a wish.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go from there. You
Yeah.
can only do something from the moment, from now, from this
Yeah.
very present moment. So being able to say, like, here I am right now. What do I want? What
Yeah.
what do I need? How can I get there?
Yeah.
That has to be now. Like, that can't be in the past when we're ruminating, which a lot of us do. I do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I say, what if only,
Mhm.
but no, nothing comes from there, and nothing comes from my wish. It has to, it has to be now. Like, you have to think, what am I doing right now? Where am I now? What do I need? And that's something that I learned, I think, a lot from WW, and from
Yeah.
this whole the psychology thing, is like, you have to be in the now so you can breathe, so you can make a good choice, so you can sort of analyze what's worth it to me. Can't
Yeah.
do that with wishes, and you can't do that from the past.
Yeah. It's kind of like we're moving ever so closely to a world where we have so much automation, even automated cars. Everybody would love to have a Tesla that will do the self-driving because it's cool to not have to drive. But there's also people that love to drive and engage with that process and get out there and race the cars and those kind of things. So like, where's the happy medium when you apply the same thought process to your decision at the pantry? Like,
Mm.
like that's micro compared to driving a car, but goodness gracious, it's the same thing of like, if I'm going to engage with this process, something is telling me to walk into the pantry and eat something. Do I need it? And should I eat it? And if there is a better choice, can I make that choice? That's as simple as it can be. One food choice. How do you engage on that level? And that was my word for the year back when we started 2020, was engage 2020 and live life like that, and live each day with a purpose of seeing what I could do with my body and with my the fruit of what I do in my day. So I wonder, like, how you now live in that moment of kind of growing who you've become. Like, you said you have all these titles with mom and you work for WW, but like, what do you see as your life's purpose? And maybe that's like the fruit of your why or something like that. Tell me about a little bit about that.
um I mean, I have a few purposes, I guess. I mean,
Mhm.
certainly I want to, my family is one of my purposes, and being an engaged partner and an engaged parent. That side is like, as my kids get older, they need me less,
Yeah.
sad, or maybe happily, because they're teenagers and
Yeah.
they're not around right now. But I would say that my purpose, it's really like honed down right now, because especially with like virtual workshops and having structure to my day where I actually feel like I'm making a difference. I
Mhm.
100% work. I mean, I work full time for WW. This is my full time job.
Yeah.
And um, it is a huge part. There's two: purpose and meaning. They're a
Mhm.
little different.
Yeah.
Uh, and uh, it gives me purpose. Like, I wake up in the morning, I'm excited to engage with people and support people. And because WW so shifted my life in every
Mhm.
way. And that's purpose. And then meaning, I would say, is it gives my life meaning to watch people have aha moments, watch
Mhm.
people feel better and have success. I get meaning also from like what my kid is going to graduate high school. That's meaningful too. And I get a lot of meaning from that. But I would say being in this space, and not only does it give my life purpose and meaning, but it also inspires me to keep going myself, because I'm a member, right?
Yeah.
So hearing people's struggles, seeing how people turn it around, that inspires me every single day. Like, every day I hear something, I hopefully give something, but I take so much, and it reinforces that purpose, that that sort of like-minded purpose, that we're all in this to take care of ourselves, in a really positive way. So I think I don't know. Does that answer it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool that you could ask 100 people that have done WW for any amount of time that same question, and for them it could be wide, it could or it could be very narrow, and it still can carry the same weight for them, enough to move the needle in the right direction for them, enough for them to make changes that replace unhealthiness, that replace behaviors that are nothing more than a cry of an unmet need. I say this all the time, and I will scream it, even if WW corporate might not believe it, that all behavior is a cry for an unmet need. So whatever it is, and I believe wholeheartedly there are probably some people that there is a medical issue that causes them to be overweight, and I'm not talking about those people, but I'm saying that being overweight is a lifelong problem that is not a food problem. It is a problem within ourselves that is correctable, and we can correct it with other behavior changes. And so, we're not, I say this, we are not intended to be epic at losing weight. Yes, I have lost 150 pounds, but that is not my purpose. I don't want to be known as some great weight loss person. I want to be known as a great person, and I want to be a great person that will continually refill other people's lives. So that's how I hope people find their purpose, because I see a lot of people sitting in these workshops, and it's like the needle's not moving yet. Like they got to get this thing going to where it'll kind of snowball. And all of that is going to come with mindset behavior in my mind, because once you get that part locked in, as soon as you can get there, and for me, it was really like 12 or 14 weeks on WW. And then when that clicked, it was like that's when I got my unstoppable hat, you know?
Yeah, I love unstoppable hat. I do think that, people get so caught up on those numbers. And of course, I get it. I know from my own journey, numbers are a great metric to give us a clue of how things are going, but they are infallible. They're not something we can rely on all the time. We've all had the experience where we've had like a fantastic week and the scale goes up, or we have a week where we go crazy on, I don't know, on French fries and we lose weight. Like there's no rhyme or reason sometimes to how the body works. So you can't, it always breaks my heart when people say, oh, I had such a great week and the scale didn't move and I'm so sad. Back in the day, I don't know if you were doing the program. Do you remember when in our little check-in books, our weight record books, back in the day, there were these emojis, and you were supposed to circle an emoji before you stepped on the scale. Yeah. So a super smiley face, a kind of smiley face, like a neutral face, a sad face, and a really sad face. And we asked people to circle that. We weren't great at doing it, but I remember we were encouraged to ask people to do that before they stepped on the scale. Yeah. And it was because we were trying to, if someone circled a smiley face and then they stepped on the scale and they gained weight, they're like, oh, I want to change that. But why? Why circle that smiley face? It was because of the behaviors that you did. As you were saying, it was the behaviors that gave you the pride, the excitement, feeling good about yourself. Yeah. And then you're going to let a number take that away from you, because it's still fact. It's still true.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that comes back to one of those things. We see it all the time. And I love to pick on, being in Oklahoma and working for WW is one thing. Being, in New York working for WW is probably a totally different thing. You have access to corporate people and that kind of stuff. So somebody come up with the slogan, progress, not perfection. Sounds like a great thing, but in my mind, I always want to pick it apart, because I'm like, the only way that perfection can be attained is if I assign it, because I cannot accept anyone else's definition of perfection. So progress against whose perfection? Because if I do me today, then I have done perfect, and I need to accept that. And that's part of living in my moment and saying, today I'm perfect. I am infallible, and I still weigh 250 pounds, and I can still lose 230, but there is nothing wrong with me, and that is a mindset that I did not have, 2 years ago, because I had come through decades of talking bad about myself and not thinking that I was worthy, and thinking that I was different than all these people that I grew up next to that lived a different station in life, and using comparison of my journey against theirs. So when I was able to break free from that and live and know that if I did my plan like you're talking, and I walked up to the scale and I was happy with my week, then that's just a mark it down moment. That's done, and whatever the scale says is irrelevant. And that's all mindset. Like, you can't teach somebody or train them to say walk in there. That is something you have to grow into, and that's really one of the things that I love about WW. And I think we would probably both agree that as a coach, you can see it in someone's eyes when they get it. When they finally get that, it's like a light goes on, and you're like, well, you're about to lose another 30 pounds. I'm just gonna watch it,
I love it when someone says, I had a great week and I gained a pound. I'm not going to care about it. I've just decided I'm not going to care about it. I'm just going to keep going. And
Yeah.
that's when I want to do the big happy dance. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
because there's going to be weight gain. That's not it. It's all about behaviors.
Yeah.
Behaviors to where you want to be. It's not the scale. The scale doesn't get you there. It's just a metric. Like, it's just a tool. But your behaviors are what change you. That's what gets you to your goal. That's what keeps you, it's just behavior.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's why white rice and lean chicken breast for the rest of your life as an only meal is not going to work. You know,
Mm, no,
no more than saying that a couch to 5K every day of this month is going to make me skinny. Like at some point, you're going to hurt your leg and you're not able to run. It's unsustainable. That kind of stuff, or you're unable to do all of the 6 trips to the gym. That's one of the things. Like for me, I lost 100 pounds the first year and I didn't work out at all. And
right.
then I integrated that into my daily routine, or not my weekly routine, not my daily routine, my weekly routine. And I just did it 3 times a week for a whole year. I went 136 times last year, and that was a total shift in my approach to that. So I was wondering also like how you've integrated activity into your journey over these few years.
Um, so I always had like a little, like my own weird relationship with the gym. I would
Okay.
I'd go, I wouldn't go, I'd be really committed. Like you were saying, like I'd go every day for like 2 hours and then I would not go for a year, I couldn't find my groove with it. Um, and I would say then what I found really worked for me over time. Like I found different things. I couldn't keep my attention for very long. So I trained for a triathlon and I did that. And then I found this kettlebell class and I did that for a couple months. One thing I always wanted to do, and it took me a really long time to develop this, is I really wanted to do yoga. And when I first tried yoga, I was in that mindset, competitive mindset, like it's not gonna help me lose weight. Why I'm not moving, my heart rate's not up. How am I gonna lose weight? How am I gonna lose weight? This is a waste. This is a waste of my time. How come everyone can do headstands? I can't do a
Yeah.
headstand. It's a nightmare. Why can't I do a back bend? Well, this is
Yeah.
terrible. I don't want to do this because I'm not perfect at it, and I'm not gonna lose weight, and this is a waste of my time. So with that didn't work, and
Yeah.
that mindset, speaking of mindsets, did not work. And it was about a few years after that I joined a yoga studio, and I just decided this is about me. This is started when I started getting into like, sort of positive thinking and like, this is all about taking care of yourself. And do I have to lose weight every time I go to a yoga studio? No. Why am I going? Am I in the present moment? Being in the present moment is going to help me. This is
Yeah.
going to, so once I changed my mindset around that, I was like, I'm going to use every prop. I don't care if I ever do like a perfect downward dog. I don't care. I don't care. This is not about burning calories. This is not about being thinner. This is just about a new thing that I'm learning for my body and to be in my body. And
Yeah.
then guess what? Now I do yoga 3 times a week, not at a yoga studio anymore, but I still do. And I love it. And I'm sure it's changed my body, but it's certainly changed my mind. Do you know what I mean? It's just one more piece of the practice to keep me present, to help me with decision making, right? Like
Yeah.
to help thoughts. And it keeps me strong because you're using your body weight. And I really appreciate being in my body. It's really a practice of being in your body. And I think in order to take care of your body, you have to be in your body. You
Yeah.
have to be in your body. So um, I do yoga a lot. I walk a lot. I I'm very fortunate. Last year I had a big birthday and we got a Peloton bike. So I do spinning classes 2 to 3 times a week now, which I love.
Mhm.
Um, and but it's all low key. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I'm not doing it to like burn off like an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
You can't outrun your fork. You just can't outrun your fork. So I don't use it as a weight loss tool per se, like to burn calories. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
I use it because it makes me feel good. It keeps me in my body. I feel proud of myself. It gives me energy, and that sort of impacts everything else I do, including every food choice I make, how I sleep, everything else. So I do it because it makes me feel good, and that's really important. Being in my body and feeling really good in my body is a really big motivator for me to do all the other things I need to do for WW.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I've kind of learned over the last, year and a half, as I've done way more activity than I've ever done in my life, especially since like high school when I quit playing sports on a competitive level, is that there's the mentality, like kind of like what you're speaking of, where you work out so that you can maybe eat extra, but is that going to be so that you can kind of check out mentally? Do this without thinking about it, without engaging into what your behavior is beyond the action. And I believe that if you truly do it the right way, and you can kind of do that and eat, but if you're thinking about it and still staying engaged with the consumption following that and saying, man, I want to make these choices that continue to make my body better, then the good choices continue to overflow. And it's not just a caloric surplus that we end up with. We end up choosing better choices even beyond the fact that we have all these fit points that we could cash in for calories. That's not the mentality we want to seek. We want to not, I just say it's like you don't want to stop your good behavior just because you achieved this middle goal. Like let your good behaviors become the healthy habit that is sustainable all the way through your day, all the way to bedtime. So if you're having a battle at bedtime, fix that battle in the morning. Like go ahead and just like preload your day with what your activity is going to be to make you successful to the finish line of every day, and then work your way backwards. Like, it's not hard to make a decision when you're in your logical top front brain, like making this good decision. When you slide back into your back brain, you're making self-preservation decisions. The
Oh, yeah,
candy bar, real good.
that's right. And that mindlessness,
Yeah.
versus, I mean, that's what it's about. If you like, I know that when people go on vacation a lot, they're like, you know what, I'm just going to take a vacation from WWE.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not, I always say, listen, I'm not going to judge you, but this is what I think. I think you can, if you're doing WW in a way that's sustainable, you don't need to take a vacation from it. Right, because it's just part of your life. It's easy, and and that's it. I don't mean easy, but I mean you're figuring out how to get indulgences in. You're figuring out how to, you know what I mean? Like you're not feeling deprived. If you're not feeling deprived, why do you need to take a vacation?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the minute we give ourselves permission to totally shut off our brain,
Hmm.
that's danger zone, right? That's danger zone. So you can be present. Like you can have an ice cream sundae. Like my husband's birthday is this coming Saturday, and we have like all the food planned out already.
Hmm.
Um, Neither of us eat a lot of sugar, but we do on each other's birthday. So we're having a blueberry crisp. We're
Yeah.
pistachio ice cream with chocolate sauce. We're gonna have egg and cheese on a biscuit. Like we figured it all out. I'm gonna make a lot of it. And here's the thing, I can have all that, and I
Hmm.
can figure out how to get it in and how I'm gonna do it, so that, and then once I figure it out, I can relax, right? Like if it's all tracked and I know, I can just have at it. I can enjoy it and be present and have a delicious time. I don't need to take a vacation, right?
Yeah.
Because I figured it out. The mindless part is the scary part, as you said, like just shutting off and just,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what scares me sometimes about fit points, is that people give themselves permission
Hmm.
to earn the fit points and then be like, woohoo, now I earned, because you can earn so many. Like you can just take like an hour walk and earn a ton of fit points, you
Yeah.
know? And that makes me a little nervous. I never tell people not to do it, but I just feel like be careful. You don't want to shut off. You don't want to become mindless.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have I've never converted any of the fit points to food points.
Me neither.
It's just my way of doing WW, and I definitely, that's the cool part about uh, WW now is it's called my WW. So I can't do your WW. I can't do it for you. It's my WW, so you got to do it. So do it however you want, and I bet it'll work if you do it the right way and stay engaged with it. Hey, I want to jump in here for just a second and take a pause, and we'll hear from one of our sponsors. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Now, a message from our partners.
Hey family, let me tell you about my favorite protein bars. Yeah, you know them, healthy eating all the time. Heat-go.com. Check them out. They are gluten-free. They're all natural with no additives, no preservatives, naturally sweetened with honey, made right here in America. The goal for them is to provide fulfilling and conscious free bars that are fun fuel for the body, allowing you to feel nourished throughout your busy day. Find those guys online at heat-go.com and on Instagram at healthyeat_on-the-go. If you need a 12% discount, use the code WWPhil. That's right, WWPhil.
Now back to our host, WW Phil.
So how do y'all handle like all the cooking and the food and stuff around your house? Are you a WW recipe builder, hacker, and that kind of stuff? Do you just follow the things in the app, or are you willy-nilly pre-tracking? And tell me all about how you do food.
I definitely pre-track whenever I can. I'll pre-track at breakfast as much as I can. If I have a sense. Dinner, we take turns cooking, but I try to cook out of like a WW cookbook. I have the recipes. Sometimes I see something on, Instagram that inspires me, but for the most part, I'm pretty simple with I'm not a great chef by any, I know you had Chef Allie on before, like she inspires me. I can't even go there. Like, I'm just pretty simple. I'm very lucky. I live in a part of New York where we have like grocery stores that are very walkable and like with organic and everything you could possibly ever want, the freshest fish, blah, blah, blah. So oftentimes, I'm not that creative, but simply grilling something with good seasoning, sauteing or roasting vegetables, it's not that exciting. Or we do like tacos, a lot of like one point corn tacos, yeah. But so I'm not that great at cook. I never was. I think I've gotten a lot better since I've been a member of WW. I think that if you can even, like, I had no confidence in cooking, and now I know I can throw together something that's delicious and healthy. And those recipes are so easy. The ones in the app are so easy that and actually what everyone posts on Instagram is so easy. Like, no one's doing anything that complicated. So I love that. And I love that I can say, yeah, I can throw something together that's delicious that no one would even know was point friendly particularly, but because it's real food. It's just real food.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, I can't even imagine now. Really, one of the biggest things that for me have not integrated into my WW journey is the need to dial back a lot of sweets. And that is just because I am not a sweet chaser. I don't really like sweets a lot. For whatever reason, my body doesn't get happy from getting a lot of sweets. So I'm okay with, we could have a fresh deal of cake right here and I'll be like, man, I'm good. I don't need it, which is, I think, a good behavior because I have the ability to assess it, say no, I could say yes if I wanted, that kind of stuff. My Achilles in that aspect of the sitting there wanting to eat it is some sort of fresh bread or another slice of pizza and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see the quality and the flavor you can get. Just this weekend, we made Biz's skinny dough 2 times. We actually made just a double recipe and we just made 2 different meals out of it. One, we made individual pizzas. I posted on Instagram and then I tagged like 20 foodies on it and be like, don't follow me. This is not my recipe. Follow them. And I just like click the picture and you can see all of them, all my friends. Just go follow them because you're not following me for food. And then we made pizza on like Friday night, and then Sunday night we made these meatball subs. And I just the same bread, just made it into loaves and did it, and just did some meatballs, and it was just amazing. And I was like, man, I would pay $12, $13, $14 for a plate like this, exactly like this at a restaurant. And I made it at my house. And as I took every bite, I was so happy. And I was extremely happy that the whole plate was like 10 points. And I ended my day. I planned all that. I had it all ready to go. And like that behavior, what it really helps me realize is that compared to the same meal going to a restaurant, the experience, I embrace the experience, I embrace the flavor and all of that. The main thing I changed is just like how the food was done. So if I can engage just a little bit in how the food's done and still put my love and my effort and my family time into all of that, WW is really just a better version of how that can be in my life. And when I started doing that, like this journey for me, the food part of it became really easy because I took off that burden of saying I've got to do all of this stuff that people say, the successful people say. It's like, no, just follow this simple plan that so many people are already like blazing the trail on. I don't need to recreate the wheel. Now there is an opportunity for creativity for sure, and I have done a little recipe building every once in a while and that kind of stuff. But I just wonder, like, as for you and your family, like, where do you find your food success? Like, do you just are you so like ingrained in kind of a healthy habits that it's just very normal and you don't have to drift too much, or like when you get a little stagnant, do you get creative and that kind of thing for y'all?
Well, first of all, before WW, my husband and I reminisce that at the beginning of our marriage, we ordered takeout every single day. Chinese food, pizza, Italian, because you could. New York City, you can get anything you want in like 10 minutes. It's at your
Yeah,
door.
yeah,
Food, you name it, we would get like fried clams. I don't know, like any sort of deliciously fried, cheesy, Chinesey food.
yeah. I'm
Spirit.
you could probably walk outside your door and get a fresh bagel and hot coffee within like 35 steps.
Oh yes, absolutely you can. You
Yeah.
totally can. Right in my corner, there's a bagel store. Actually, there's two. Yeah. Yes. Um, yes. So we now when we order it, like we do order take it out lately, we more than normal because I guess we're not going to the store quite as much, so we have been taking advantage of it. But I don't feel good when I do that. Like physically,
Mhm.
I don't feel good. So right now when we cook, it's interesting because I have these two teenage boys trying to instill good habits. They're very picky. One doesn't eat meat, but he'll eat fish. The other doesn't eat like things like tomato sauce. He won't eat regular pizza, which fine, okay. Um, but they both like junk food a lot. And my older son is 18 now, and he joined WW as soon as he turned 18. I gave him like my friends and family membership, so he's doing it online because he and his brother they can leave the house, they can go to the drugstore and buy like junk is what they do. They buy like big boxes of cereal, like, and it kills me. But one thing I know, and this is from growing up being a heavy kid with parents who were harassing me because I was a heavy kid, that the more that my parents said something to me about it, the more I was like, oh, you don't think I should eat another cookie? Well, look, I'm going to eat all the mint Milanos now right in front of
That's
you.
right.
What do
Watch
you
me.
think? What do you think now? Watch me. Oh, I shouldn't have another piece of bread at the restaurant. Oh, I'm gonna eat the whole bread basket now. What do you think
Yeah.
now, Dad? Like, of course, just not even punishing them, ultimately punishing myself. But so I tread very lightly. I try to cook healthy for my kids, and they will eat some of the healthy things I cook. But then there's so much that they won't. So it's like it's a little challenging right now because they're eating a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches and
Yeah.
you know paninis. We have like a panini press. They're making themselves waffles, and you know, and it's killing me. The only thing that I have going for me when it comes to them is that they like fresh vegetables. So we cut up like tons of cucumbers and peppers and carrots, and they'll just eat them. Thank
Yeah.
God, because otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't know what would become of them. Um, but it's a little bit of a challenge for our family because my husband and I are on a good path of just eating well, making meals, pre-tracking, doing all that, and then I'm watching like my kids order from Shake Shack, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm like, great, okay, So it's weird. The good thing is, and the thing that I've noticed about myself is that I watch them eat that, and just because of my own experience, I don't even want it. Like I'm not watching them eat eat the stuff from Shake Shack and go, man, I'm dying for that vanilla shake. I'm just not, and that's, I guess, the win for me is in my behavior, looking back on like how I used to have takeout every day. And now I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So that's a shift. But, my family's in sort of a crossroads. My older son's going to go to college next year. If college happens, I think it
Hopefully.
will. Please, please, on so many levels, please. But
And not Columbia, right? Not like right up the street.
well, actually, he's going to NYU,
Okay.
but that's down the street, and he's going to live on campus. We've
Okay.
decided. But yes, he's still staying. He's New York City through and through. He's not leaving the city.
Okay.
He's just leaving our house, we hope.
Yeah.
As much as I adore him, he needs his own. We all. That's why teenagers are how they are, so that we can all separate from each other and be excited to separate, and then be excited to come back together eventually.
Yeah. I heard someone say, it's like, you know what? In all your life, you know what I haven't gotten out of you a lot? I haven't missed you a lot. Why don't you go away so I can miss you some more?
That's right. I was saying that the other day to my husband. I'm like, I love him so much, but I'm just not liking him right now. And he's like, let him go away.
Yeah.
And then you see him every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be great. And I'm like, I cannot wait for that, because I want to like him again. I love him, but I like him. I know he's a good kid.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it clears up a little space in your head when you don't have to mess with, hey, pick your socks up, or hey, put your shoes away. Like when you don't have those things occupying your space, you have plenty more space for, hey, let's have a conversation over coffee.
Yes, I cannot wait for that. I can't wait just to engage on that level. Sometimes we do, but mostly we don't. Mostly it's like, hey, why is your laundry not in the hamper? Like a lot of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. I could talk about like the frustrations of parenting all day long. As I'm sure you have a young kid, you have a young daughter, so that's challenging in a whole different way. That's much more like you're engaged. Like kids don't pay attention to me. You have to be like present.
Yeah, and she loves me without question, but she is like over the moon crazy about her mom. So a lot of times she doesn't listen to me. So like, because whenever I enforce the rules, it's after we've pushed the line and it's time to get it done. And mom has a little more grace for that kind of stuff, so it's a little more slowly of a pulling, that kind of stuff. So shout out to her mom for being her rock in that aspect. But anyway, it's an amazing opportunity in life to be able to be a parent and watch someone to grow up like that and have the opportunity to become a contributing little human in this world.
Yeah, watch your kid do things that you never would do. Like I watch my kids like do things like play the piano and sing. Like how did they do that? Or they've both been to China. I will never go to China, but they have both been. Like that is incredible that my kids are going to be doing things and they're just different humans doing different things. They came from me, but they're totally different than me. It's crazy. Crazy.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, we've gone for about an hour, and I always end this with one final question, and that is, what would you like to know of me? And I'll answer any question you want to ask me.
So let me think. So many questions. What did you think on your first day walking into WW? Like, were you immediately sold? You were like, oh my God, I'm going to do it? Or were you like skeptical? Like, what was your thought after sitting through your first workshop and like getting the orientation? What was your thinking process when you walked out the door?
Well, I guess I had really, back in the day, I did WW. This is only the second time I've done WW. I did it for about 3 months in 2015, and then I took off until 2017. But in 2015, when I first did it, my mother-in-law the previous year had broken her leg and gained some weight, and then she used WW to get it back off and had achieved lifetime, I think, at that point. And so I knew that it had worked, and I knew that it was mostly women. So I went to this little meeting at this church, and I walked in there, and it was all women. There was no men there. My wife actually went with me, and we just sat there. So they kind of explained it, and it was so 2015. I think it was, I don't know, Beyond the Scale or something like that. It was already in the app, at least. So it had the app, so that helped for me to do it. I think if it had been like paper tracking or something like that, I probably would have been out, because I was driving, working all over the state at that period of time. So it really helped that it was in the app, and they really just told me one thing, and I've kind of kept it with me, is the success that you have today will come from two things, and that's from tracking in the app and coming back next week. So I did that, and then I got busy and couldn't continue to go. And then after that, I got back into it in 2017, and I've gone every week since. I haven't missed hardly any weeks unless I was out of town working or something like that. So 2.5 years of straight every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, I'm in this meeting. And I actually hopped on this morning. I was 2 or 3 minutes late, and people were asking and sending me text messages, "Where are you at? Where's Phil?" So I hopped on the Zoom call, and then I got another call in the middle of it and had to get off, which is very unique, because it used to be that I could allot that time, and I was gone. I put my phone on silent. I was, you're not getting me until I'm out of my meeting. I check my messages. But now that I'm sitting here at the computer, work just beckons. And, I got dual screens and MacBooks and all the stuff going on. But it's really cool to walk into there and know that I carried a lot of weight into the room, but that wasn't the focus. And the focus wasn't like, you need to change all these behaviors. It's like, you just need to come in here and look at your food, make an honest assessment. Honest assessment is how you write it down in your phone, and just be happy with that. That's going to be enough. And as I did that and slowly started to fine tune things, it just made sense. And I think that's one critical thing about, for anyone that's starting this journey, is that one tool of starting to get that assessment of how much food you eat and tracking it, and that honest tracking right there from the beginning. Because the truth about losing weight is, like, it may just be this much that we need to kick back into that healthy eating zone to allow our bodies to lose weight. It's not like you need to flip the chicken rice wheel.
Like when they told you all you need to do is write it down and show up, did you believe that when they told you that? Like, or did you say, let me see? Or were you like, okay, I'm all in, I believe you?
I really did. Like, for probably the first like good month and a half or so, I was dedicated to it. I mean, I didn't even change hardly any of my foods. And to be honest, coming in, I don't know, I think it was probably 380 or something, which was, I think I looked up in my book. I still have my book. My starting weight was like 380 something, which is 16 pounds lighter than what I came back to the scale in 2017. Right. So anyway, so I lost down to about 360 or so on it. And then I went back all the way up to 396 to 2017 when I started this time. But yeah, it was that simple. It was really, if you'll just track and start to see what you got, you don't have to change what you eat that much at that level. Now, I mean, clearly that is a huge change when you go down to what I eat now. I've changed so many behaviors and desires and wants and hopes and dreams and all of those things that change, that you can't offload that information onto somebody when they start. You have to, like, say this one thing, and it's even simpler than calling it calories. It's just called smart points.
Right. And I do think too that that's, whenever you ask, if someone says, I lost weight this week, and then you say, well, what did you do? And they're like, I tracked. Yeah. You're like, oh, alert the media. Guess what? I think we need to call. I always say, we need to let WW know that there's this thing called tracking that seems to work for people, like,
absolutely.
That's all you need to do, and show up.
Absolutely. It's funny. I was on an ambassador call with Gary was leading the call. He was the guest on the call. And I asked him, I was like, we've got this one component, and we've added 2 more tracking components since I had this call with him. And I know it's the hardest one you could ever integrate, and it might not ever happen. It's like, but man, we need a mindset tracker, so that when you have a mindset moment, you can track that. And it is like, boom, like I had a mindset moment, because it's that important for you to track those moments. And you can see that may have moved the needle on your journey more than you eating a turkey burger rather than a regular burger. So it's so cool to think about as we grow. Like, there's so much opportunity. I feel like that the bandwidth for food is this, and the bandwidth for activity maybe this, but the bandwidth for mindset change is so much bigger. And,
huge. All that stuff about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, what we believe, what we choose to say, the words that come out of our mouth. I will never get there. Well, guess what? If you say that, you will never get there. Our words, we believe what we think. We think. Mindset is, I totally agree. What did Gary say when you
He actually admitted that is something that they have thought about and we'll be working on. Previously, 5 years ago, it was probably called the Bravo stickers, that kind of thing. And that went away, and everybody's like, oh, and they wanted to come back. I was like, that's not ever coming back. Don't have that hope or dream. Probably not ever coming back. But, when it makes sense for it to be something to where someone can have that it's a sweet moment in time when you say, I did this for me, and I don't care what the scale says. I did this for me, and it doesn't matter if I missed the gym today. I am showing up for me. That is a mindset moment, and that moment will overpower your desire to walk in there and eat more Cheez-Its, or that'll overpower your desire to sit on the couch when you should move your body, and those kind of things. So we need moments like that to be able to track that, because when those moments happen and you can go back on your calendar, and maybe it's like make your day orange or whatever it is, when you see those things, you're like, oh, I remember the way I felt when that happened, and I want that again.
Absolutely. I think that that's so important. And I think it's important to be able to recognize when those happen. That's what tracking them do, right? Because they happen a lot, right? We're always having mindset shifts, but we're not taking the time to recognize them. The more we recognize them, the more we elevate them, the more we elevate them, the more we do them. So I think your idea is brilliant.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on for me. This is so much fun. I enjoy doing this and getting to do some of them in the middle of the day. This venue is a little bit different rather than going live, but man, it's still just as fun. So thank you for coming on with me, and I appreciate you taking an hour out of your day.
Oh, my pleasure. It was a pleasure and so much fun talking with you and getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Thank you once again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Oh, what a wonderful time talking to Lisa. She is amazing. She is such an inspiration. If you want to follow her on the gram, find her at Lisa_NYC_coach. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the WW Phil Podcast, your guide to feel good. This podcast is not sponsored or affiliated with WW or any other brand. All statements and opinions on this show are those of Phil alone. Those who follow the WW program can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Phil has lost weight on a prior program and continues to use WW.